Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. As Matthew said, I'm Elena Cardone, married to Grant Cardone for this year will be 19 years, 2 children. Yes, I deserve the award of the century. But in all seriousness, we've created a magnificent lives for ourselves. It wasn't always like this. We weren't always successful at the top. We didn't really have this money thing figured out. And just to take you back, our first few years of marriage, we were kind of battling each other. We hadn't figured out how to catapult ourselves into this empire status phase. And, you know, just the first successful tip that I'll give you of what we did to make our lives run and operate like it does today is we finally figured out in 2008, when the economy collapsed, it forced us to kind of look at our relationship because we were on the verge of losing everything financially. I was pregnant with our first child. We were under some lawsuit from this con artist, our friends, like just concepts that had never occurred. I'm a girl from New Orleans, Louisiana. I never went to college. I didn't know how to, I just didn't conceive that people could actually target you to actually con you out of money. That was a foreign concept for me. But going back to the beginning of our marriage, the first 4 years of our marriage, we were operating as these 2 independent beings, even though we were married. A lot of it had to do with myself, I'll confess, because I thought I had to be this independent, powerful woman, never depend on anyone, especially a man, to make it in life. And so we were with each other, but I was building all day, he was building all day, and then we'd come home and tear it all down because we were vying for these power positions in our relationships. You're not going to tell me what to do. You don't tell me what to do. You're not the boss of me. I'm not the boss of you. Ridiculous. I mean, that was the kind of concepts of the arguments that we were having on a daily basis. And I tell you that because the biggest thing that we did to get us on the same page was we figured out how to collaborate with each other. Even though we were married, we hadn't collaborated yet fully. We weren't working in a coordinated effort toward a heightened level of success together as a unit. And that's one of the things that I wish we would have done sooner. I wish we would have made collaborations a lot sooner in our lives with each other and with others. So again, going back into time now, it's 2008, the economy collapses. We're on the verge of losing everything. And at that point, I made a decision. Either I figure out how to get and work together with him, or we were going to probably end up in a divorce. It was just a lot of hard things pile on top of you. You get stressed out. Confusion leads to failure. There was a lot of confusion, a lot of overwhelm, but we just started to look at one thing at a time. What's one thing at a time we could do to get us both on the same page? Oh, okay. And at that point, I looked at, well, what is the purpose? Where do we want to go? We had never thought about where we wanted to go as a couple, as a unit, as a business, as an organization. Who are we? Not just who am I, Elena Cardone, who is Grant Cardone, but who are we and what do we represent? And that alone, that concept brought us together because I had never thought about that. Even though I had already been married for 4 years, I never looked at who are we together and where can we go? And 2 is stronger than 1 all day long. It's strength in numbers, right? So at that point, I looked at, okay, where do we want to go? What is going to be such a big purpose for us to go in life that's going to keep us from fighting each other? If we had a goal that was big enough and a purpose that was big enough that we could both focus on, it would take the attention off of, I got to fight my partner. and hold each other back, because that became the game of life. That was the game of life. I get to be this, I get to be that, but it's small-minded, it's small thinking, it doesn't build empires. And so we figured out, all right, well, we'll put the biggest goal imaginable in front of us. We want to reach 8 billion people on planet Earth, and we want them winning from our products and services. And so all of a sudden that was like, that's a big enough goal that would set our attention enough on the future and trying to attain something that it would force us to have each other's back and work side by side in order to achieve this heightened level of success. It gave us enough of an impetus to be crazy enough to think that we could actually do it. But yet we still feel like we have to scramble because we're running out of time, because it's so unimaginable. Who could possibly think we could actually really achieve this goal? So what that does is it really aligned us so that now we weren't fighting each other. Now we started fighting everybody else, all the enemies that don't want to see you win, that want to hold you back, that want to see marriages fail, that want to see families fail. You see, now I have enemies. Now that I have enemies and haters, I hate haters. I want everyone to like me. I'm just full transparent. I know my strengths and weaknesses, but I also understand that enemies and haters are very crucial to my relationship with my husband and my organization that's trying to produce products that are going to be put into people's hands, that once they get our products, they're going to make their lives better and change the trajectory of their lives, right? And so enemies of my organization are enemies that don't want people winning, that don't want people getting better, that don't want people taking control of their financial legacy, their financial freedom, their financial stability. So now I have many, 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 many haters and enemies out there that force me to have to focus on them and have each other's back. Now I have Grant 6. I've got his back and he's got mine. So we really came together as a power couple, as a power business, as a power organization. Like, we came together. We had never done that before previously in those 4 years of marriage. And so we really had to, now that we got the purpose, then we had to take it one step further. And we had to look at knowing who does what, knowing the roles. So number one, we got our purpose. We figured out our purpose together, because it's strength in numbers. No empire has ever been built alone, not in the history of mankind. You cannot find me an empire that's been built with one person alone. It takes an army, it takes people. People have everything you want. It takes people to expand, to grow, to build, to fortify. You need abundance, right? And so in order to do that and to create that and to build that, we first had to do our purpose. Number two, we had to figure out who does what, who gets to be the boss of what is the role that I play in this movement, and what does Grant play in his role in this movement. So we really had to get real and honest with what our strengths and weaknesses are individually, because now we're a unit, right? So now I could actually be transparent with him about, okay, well, I'm strong in these areas and you're obviously strong in those areas. And even though we're equal in marriage, we're not equal in all of our parts. So Grant, obviously, for obvious reasons, has nothing to do with male, female. You are tried and true in the business area. You're running the business. I'm going to run all the behind the scenes operations, the family, what we do. I'm going to run all the behind the scenes. You're going to run the business. You're going to trust me to make all the decisions in this area. I'm going to trust you to make all the decisions in that area. Your area falls down. It's on you. You better get your act together, and vice versa. You see, so now I had my own areas where I get to be the boss of my domain. So that also eliminated and alleviated these problems that we were having in our marriage and in our work environment, because it also spilled over into the work environment. Now we go into our work environment, I'm very clear what my role is, what his role is. I try not to violate the lines. I understand when I work into work mode, I'm wearing a different hat. I'm not wearing the wife hat. I'm wearing I'm wearing the team member hat, the employee hat, however you want to call that. He's the boss. I'm the junior in that role. Now under the house, you know, everybody knows mom's the boss. Anyway, it happened that way. And I only tell you that because, you know, it's strength in numbers. It's how do we come together? How do we figure out and get a main big purpose where we can go together, where we can all grow and live abundantly in health and wealth, take care of ourselves, our families, our communities. And the only way to do that is secure the bag. You got to secure your financial freedom. So everybody's got to get real comfortable and real honest and real about their financial situation. And then how to do that. It's people. People have what you want. People have got your money. People have got everything. So how do we come together and fortify and grow and collaborate and get strength in numbers with more people that have like-mindedness, results-oriented, accountability, same core values? How do we link up all of these groups around the world so we can build strength in numbers and go to heightened levels of success together? So Grant and I finally hit our financial goal a couple years ago. We hit the $1 billion status. Yay for us.
That's good.
Yay. You got to celebrate that. I celebrate it every time, right? Because what you can have in others, you can have for yourself, right? I don't say that to brag. I say that about the $1 billion. We did that for a couple of reasons, and then I'll get to the point of where I'm at now in life. But the point with the billion is that was the first step to see, do we really have some things figured out? Do we really have structure? If we really have something of value, our products and services, if we could really grow and expand ourselves, who do we have to become? What sacrifices did we have to make? What right choices did we make? What collaborations did we have to make in order to hit that $1 billion mark? That $1 billion mark was to gain a stat. You understand? It's to gain a stat. If we want to reach 7 billion people, 8 billion people on planet Earth, and we want them winning from our products and services, we have to break our own glass ceilings. This girl from New Orleans, Louisiana, who never went to college, who wasn't supposed to be in this life that I'm in now, with the events that occurred in my life, if we can do it, then others can do it. So we had to hit the billion, because the billion, you know, people might not like Grant. They want to try to make him wrong. They might not like me. They might insult the way I look, the way I dress, the way I sound, but no one can argue with your stats. That's why we got to rack the stats, right? We had to hit the billion, not just for ourselves, but to prove to everybody else that, you know, little old you, like I think of myself as little old Elena, like little old me, just little me, you know, I'm just Elena, like little me. I'm not one of those big giant people. I never thought of myself as one of I always put those billionaires in this category that was so far removed from me, right? That Grant and I said, look, if we ever hit this, we are going to keep the curtains over. Good, bad, ugly. You're going to be there, you know, because we're not going to be the wealthy people at the top that close the curtains. Why do they close the curtains? Because they don't want to take crap from people. And a lot of them have something to hide too. So there's two factors. Grant and I said, look, if we ever hit the billion, then we're never going to we're never closing the curtains, no matter how much they attack, no matter what comes for us, because we have a purpose, right? The purpose is to reach 8 billion people and have them winning from our products and services. So we're never closing the curtains, because I want all the other little me's out there, all the other little Elenas out there that never really thought it was attainable. I want to prove to you and show you that, yes, it is attainable. You can. And here's how we did it. It might not be perfect, but here it is. And if you follow these steps, you can do it too. Learn from what we did right. learn from what we did wrong, and here's the way to fast track the way to success. Because in 2008, when the economy collapsed and Lehman collapsed and our net worth collapsed and we were on the verge of losing everything, there was no CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company showing you and telling you exactly how he's doing it. There was no wife of a CEO out there, wife of a billionaire CEO, saying, this is how we run the family and this is how I support him, how he supports me. I did. So the whole purpose for us is to fast track all the other like-minded, all the people that I connect with, because even though I'm quote unquote here now, like nothing in me changes. Like I'm still me. I still get uncomfortable around other billionaire people. I don't know. I can't, like, nothing just happened one day where I just shift and changed and I'm like, oh, now I'm one of them. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, except for the fact that Mindy and Matthew and I, we're going to be doing, and we are creating a massive project
Yes.
with our collaboration and our coordination to help other people hit financial stability, financial freedom, financial legacy. And we're doing it through real estate. And, now my whole point is once I hit the billion, that was approved to me. That was approved to me, little New Orleans girl, little Lake Charles, Louisiana guy, Grant Cardone, who had his face bashed in with 100 stitches from being beaten nearly to death in a drug thing that went bad, because that's his life, where he came from. That was to prove to us that we could do it, that we could break the glass ceiling. Now I'm in a different phase in my life. I did that. That was for me. For me now, it's about a spiritual legacy play. For me now, it's how many people in this empire can come along with us? How many people can we come up to the top? Can we be making the decisions? Can we be running the empires? Can we be helping our communities and our families? How do we get up there? This is who I identify and relate with, is like people like me. How do we come up together and actually change the world and make a difference for the better? I don't want to leave it in some, politician's hands. I don't think they're going to do it. It's up to you and it's up to me. And this is why I'm just so excited for the opportunity to be working with you, Matthew, and you, Mindy. Ryan, you're on this call, because what we're doing is really special. So I know we've partnered up at EXP Together Realty. We've built our team. My team has over 700 people. We did over $1 billion in sales volume last year. Without this being a big thing for that, if there's anybody out there, you want to join a team that, has a purpose and knows exactly what they want and how they want to get there and how they want to support. Support means show active interest in the success of you. You want to be around a team that supports you, shows active interest in the success of you. You want more information on how you can align or see if we'd be a good fit for each other in order to get to these heightened levels of success together. Definitely reach out to Matthew and Mindy on our project, because it'd be amazing to work with other like-minded individuals to get us all there.
Yes.
Faster, better, stronger together.
Yep. Yes. Thank you. Let's give her a hand. Let's thank you.
Absolutely. You're so welcome.
You have actually answered like 4 of my questions already from talking. Yes. So I'm not gonna ask any questions. So I will give people opportunity, 2 people, just to ask some questions. So you have answered 4 of my questions: how to balance things, with your family and the business. You kill it right there. So, let me just give it to 2 people that might have question on anything for Elena. Any question right there? Yes.
Matt, that balance question comes to me a lot. You want me, I can expand upon that just briefly if you want, because it's it's really important to a lot of people. They want to understand the family and the business and how to balance them both. So I think it's really important. Look, I'll just tell you quickly, I don't want to hold us up, but I'll tell you quickly how my family does it. From a very young age, the children have been sort of indoctrinated. We've taught them from very early on. You know, we're Team Cardone. We want to help people. We want to make a difference for the better on this planet. So we told them what our mission statement is, and this is what your mom and your dad do. And if you want to be a because I called Grant a superhero. I was like, look, you know, your papa's a superhero. He is. I'm like, yeah, and your mom is too. Like, we're superheroes. And they're like, oh my God. And so I said, hey, you want to be one too? Yeah. Okay. Well, this is how you can help. There's many different ways you can help and be a part of it. When I have to be away, like right now in the Zoom call, and, you know, when you're busy and you let me come in here and I can help somebody and somebody gets helped by something that I said, and then they can be better with their kids. You're actually helping them by letting me be in a distraction-free environment. So I got the kids and the family all on the same page with our purpose, so they can understand, you know, how they're contributing. Also, then it's just about a balancing act, you know, as it gets busier and busier and busier, it's, you know, when do I need to step away from the work and really focus on my children? And I know when it's been too long, when I've kind of neglected them a bit. And at that point, I have to have people in place to handle the work environment for me. And then when I need to be in the work environment and the kids are just bored and don't really need me, I have to have a person, a nanny, somebody to come in and get them creatively busy so they don't really notice that you know, that I'm not there. So it's really just, it is a balancing act. It's just, you know, I juggle a lot of balls. So rather than getting overwhelmed that there's 100 balls in the air, it's just whatever is about to land is what I catch and what gets my attention. And then the next, and then the next, and I kind of just focus on that. The last thing I'll say about the balance is I don't compare my life to anyone else's, because I used to compare my life with everyone else. I used to think I had to have this tranquil, happy, peaceful, everything just works out and easy, or something was wrong and everybody else has that, so why not me? And that made me miserable. And then I just said, you know what? Everybody else that has already figured out work-life balance, that has this humana, peace, love, you know, whatever going on for them, good. They figured that out. They can go teach that. I don't teach that. I teach, you know what? I have a lot of motion. I have my life. I figured out how to make it work with where I'm just a juggler. I'm not a balancing act at the circus. I'm the juggler, but I can juggle 100, you know, a chainsaw, a soccer ball, a golf ball, a tennis ball. I can do it all. So that's my forte. And I don't compare myself or think what my life is supposed to look like. Like, no, my life is supposed to look like I created it. And I created a lot of action.
Thank you. And question for you. So say your name and your question, please.
Yep. So my name is Richard Thornton. I'm here in Maryland, and first of all, Elena, thank you so much just for speaking. I don't think everybody really got what you said there. Maybe they did, but I followed you guys for 7 years, you and Grant. And this whole balancing and marriage thing, it goes so deep. And I tell you, I really dove deep into your guys' message about 7 years ago, because I had a daughter around Sabrina's age, and I was trying to figure out the business stuff and, you know, develop my personal talents and also do what I want to do and have my wife kind of develop her way. And really, so I have a comment and a question. So my comment is, thank you for showing us how to balance everything and how you can achieve everything at one time. And you guys have really set an example for marriage and business and how it's all one. It's all life, right? It's not like I run my own thing, she runs her own thing, the kids run, it's just one big thing, it's one big life. So when are you bringing back the G&E show, for one? Because I follow that thing religiously, and if anybody's never heard of that, and especially if you have a spouse, or if you're in a relationship, or whatever the case is, just for your own personal development. It was really good for balancing the whole family as a whole to strive to the next level. So that's really all I have to say. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
The G&E show. Wow, that was good times, crazy times. We talked about bringing that show back, actually, but we're doing another thing instead right now. We're working on the 10X couples retreat. We just came back from Cabo. We launched our first 10X couples retreat, and that's really the opportunity where people can discuss and get on the same page, both professionally, personally, and financially through this little 4-day experience that we had over there. So I think we kind of just morphed into something else.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any
other question?
Any other question for her? Any other question for her? Going? Going? Okay, gone. Thank you so much, Helena. So can we give it up for Helena again? And tell GC we love him right here from Baltimore. So, maybe one of these days we're going to have him come down here in Baltimore. People love him, Baltimore, Washington area. Tell him we say hello to him and really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks, everybody. And hopefully anyone that's interested will reach out to you and Mindy to collaborate. I'm looking forward to it. Let's build some massive, big empires. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. You're welcome.
All right. So I know we're a little bit out of time, so we're enjoying ourselves over there. So we're just gonna take a little bit. Then I'm gonna have Ryan. He's right there with us already. Probably I'm gonna have him start right now. So he's just he does mostly multi-family. So if you want to know about multi-family, we're still going to get to single family wholesaling and stuff like that. So we want to take care of everybody on the Zoom call. So he does multi-family. So I'm actually I'm supposed to bring him on at 8. So I'm going to bring him on right now. So his name is Ryan Dumas. He lives in Florida. So he's a very good friend of mine. So if you want to know about multifamily, you are doing single family right now, and you want to get into multifamily, that's the guy for you. He used to be a loan, he still does loan anyway. Loan guy for a couple of years. So, then he moved into multifamily, buying property, syndication. Then I'm going to, turn it to Ryan Dumas right now. So it's just going to take a couple of minutes, Ryan. Hey, buddy, how you doing, man? Good. So take it from here, man.
So I was going to start with a little intro and everything, and then you can ask those questions that you said and everything. But it's going to be hard to follow Elaine Cardone. So, should have had her last. Anyways.
Sorry. I don't mean to do that.
No. It's all good. It makes us stronger, because we all get to that we all want to be comfortable. And, I love to talk to Elena sometimes because, I can see that she just leveled up. But anyways, I live in Clearwater, Florida. I'm from Pennsylvania. I used to visit Baltimore, in my younger days. Went to a Rod Cleve event and started off my multifamily investing around 4 years ago. Married with my wife of 11 years. I have 4 daughters. Yes, 4 daughters. So I'm an investor. I've been investing for about 4.5 years. I failed. I've lost money. We do have a mastermind now. After we closed on about 6 or 7 deals, I started one up. But we buy self-storage. We buy apartments. We have actually 10 apartment complexes across the Southeast Texas, and we've been working on the Midwest. I'll get into that later. But insurances have been going up in the Southeast coastal areas. So, but yeah, we have about 750 self-storage units, about 750 apartment units, and our goal is to get to $1 billion by the year 2026. So pretty cool to follow somebody that has hit that number one themselves, but really cool. So I know one of the things that we believe in are teams and growing together. Growing together is one of the names of a mastermind I started about a year or so ago. And it's great because it's about helping others out. Some people have masterminds, and it's about how you can join their team only. But also the biggest thing I think is like, what is people's purpose? What's your why? And then there's a lot of people that I'm going to touch on little bits, and then we can get into a little bit later. But mindset, most people don't have the mindset of, I'm going to get a 50-unit apartment complex. I'm going to get a 200-unit, a 500-unit, whatever it is. A 100-unit apartment complex is sometimes easier than buying a quadplex. So, but yeah, and one thing that's very, very important is teams. So, from the things that I've learned from losing money, 4 years ago with other teams, is learning from those mistakes, networking, going to these events where it's based on the asset you're looking at and that you're interested in. So if you're interested in self-storage or multifamily, don't spend too much time in flipping houses and wholesaling programs. Follow what you want, get coaches and mentors of where you want to be. Figure out your goals of 1, 2, 3, 5-year goals, and learn from those mistakes. Getting into a mastermind, you don't have to get into a $20, $30, $50,000 a year mastermind. Get into something that doesn't cost too much money. Ours are $250 a month. One of our whys, which I think is very important, is helping fatherless kids and helping foster parents. It's one of my whys. A buddy of mine is in Kenya right now, over there helping raise money for families over there in need, spreading the gospel. There's different things in Kenya that's really important. One thing that we as a family believe in is just praying often, having that faith. We have a mastermind called F7. We talk about faith, family, fitness, being fearless, having fun, finances, and really being that financial freedom. Because it's not all about the money. It's about that time you have with family, and it's very important. So I can get into that. And just real quick on family, I want to touch on is, 2019, I made really good money in financing, but I wasn't there for the family. And still working on those things. But one thing that COVID slowed down was my financing, and really got to be where I wasn't spending time with my wife, spending time with the kids. And now I'm in a couple other small masterminds called Purposeful Fatherhood. My friend Luke Sawyer is a pastor from Major League Baseball, and really helped me out of, making sure we're doing the date nights with the wife. I do daddy-daughter date. Every Thursday we do daddy-daughter date breakfast. And then also asking them, what am I failing at? What am I not good at? And now I'm doing one-on-one. I want to go one-on-one, Dad. I want to just you and me. It's not just other sisters. So go one-on-one, spending time intentionally. It's very important, because the more you surround yourselves around these family and fitness and your health and eating better, the better you are as an entrepreneur or an investor. And it really does help you. Like, oh, I don't need to know about this. I'm like, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, how come you taking off? How come you're doing this? I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm just checking the boxes and helping others out. Don't go, hey, I can help others once I get to be a millionaire or $1 billion. Help people now. Money, giving, time, whatever it is. But, be there for your family. Again, fitness. I listened to Mark Evans' DM, deal maker. He talked about getting a 5:55. So now I get about 5:45 now, and I get up early, get to the gym by 6 a.m. I listen to my Eric Thomas, Denzel. I listen to just different people that get me motivational, that makes sense, that works for me and my family, that fits our why. And then also, like I said, working to get that financial freedom. So, but yeah, I just want to get on a little bit of that and, kind of talk about what I have and what I've done and how I've been there, and just still working on being a better father, being a better husband, and just really being there and being intentional. Still working on it. Not perfect in any way, but yeah, you want to start with those questions there, Dale?
Gotcha. Good. So how do you find your deals? Let me ask with that question first. How do you find multifamily deals? Right now we're talking about 300 plus units or so or less.
Yeah, so most of the stuff we look for, we have a buy criteria, and that's what I've learned in Jake and Gino program. All the different places I've learned is where your buy criteria is. And we have a buy criteria of 50 to 200 units for a certain reason. And we have in this certain areas, we have about 25 people looking at deals for us. They can be wholesalers that want to partner with us. Instead of getting them a fee for $50,000, we bring them on as a team. So then they can make $25,000 to $50,000 a year, and then go ahead and sell it in 5 years. Then they can make a couple $100,000. So we have wholesalers, realtors, brokers, other deal finders, And then people that know that area, that are in Charlotte, that are in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Cincinnati, that are in these areas, and we focus. So every year, if we see trends going, the insurance prices are going up in the Southeast and coast, so we'll shift. So then we might have, like, instead of 2 people working in Charlotte, Raleigh, and the Midwest area, we might have like 10, 15. So really just having people that work on finding our deals. We meet up with brokers and realtors, sometimes some even single family realtors, and say, hey, if you see any, of this in our buy criteria, let us know before you put it out in the MLS, before you put it out in a book or anything and advertise it. Let us know. So we reach out and say, hey, this is what we have. We have 150 million assets. Our partners have about 350 million, and other partners got about 650 million. That's with us since with a bigger deal. So, but just looking at the cities, talking to people, letting people know what you do. You got to brand yourself. Hey, I buy apartments. This is what we do. If you have anything in this city, in this area, in this price range, no flat roofs, 1980 and up, but be specific on your buy criteria, and don't be in 8 different states with just you. We have different partners in those areas, so we can be in 12 different markets. But realistically, I have like 1 or 2 markets that I focus on, and our partners have people in those areas. So, you want to know what part of the railroad tracks is a safer area to live. You want to know what the demands are in that area. And, if you don't want to move into a city, buy an apartment complex, and you find out a year down the road that their population and their jobs were decreasing 2, 3, 4% a year. You didn't know that. Crime's a big thing too, but yeah, so just building those relationships. People have to really know, like, and trust you. And it's the same thing when you're finding deals with those brokers, realtors, wholesalers. So that's one of the ways.
I will ask one question, then I will throw it to people if they have any question for you. So how can someone that has been doing single family, how can he or she move into multifamily? What's the best strategy, or what's the best way? And how do you raise money? Syndication.
I mean, I'll get on the part. Everybody's deal is different. If you're in single family, I really think that to go to some of these conferences, conventions that are close to you, go to some networking events, ask people that are in multifamily. It's not much harder, but it is different, because you'll get people from single family who are like, oh, it's per square foot, and how can you get a pre-approval? It's like, no, you pre-approve the asset, not really yourself. Like, what's my credit score to be? It's a little different. So I've been doing commercial financing for about 11 years, but it's just different. But I would be in those rooms. I wouldn't jump to a $50,000 a program mastermind to get into it, but there's some $200-300 a month masterminds, some programs to get into stuff that's local. And me, I used to travel everywhere, and I just went to LA and then and then Cincinnati. But what I'm doing now is I'm finding masterminds that are in Clearwater, that are in Tampa intentionally, so I can be close to my family. But just really being in those masterminds, those coaching programs, and just listening to others, being in the Facebook groups and in the pages that talk about multifamily investing, syndication, and then really just being out there. If you have on your Facebook page, it says you're a dog sitter, and you have a picture of your dog in there, and you're an investor. People don't know. I mean, I just went on my mastermind. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm like, change your post, change your bio, make it look a little bit nice. But be comfortable. If you don't want to dress up in a suit every time I meet people, I mean, I'm meeting investors and I'm like, hey, listen, I'm wearing t-shirt and shirts. It's 95 degrees today in Florida. Okay, I'm cool. But you just got to be yourself. I mean, the most thing is that, they got to know, like, and trust you. So to talk about the raising capital, I mean, it's hard. I failed a couple of times, and I was lucky enough to have those same 2 teams to come back to me again and say, hey, I know you failed at this, or however they said it. We'd like you to come back. And then I, raised capital. We're doing asset management. It's hard, but it doesn't end at the raising capital. But I can tell you that high net worth earners, some people can start off with their family and friends, but the family and friends is a little hard. I have not had many family, pitch in to the investment, and I've raised about $13.6 million. And we've closed on 12 deals in the last 12 months, like I said. So we're working on thank you. We're working on email campaigns, text campaigns. We've met up with some doctors and dentists and other high net worth investors, and we're strategically close to us doing those meetups with 5, 10, 20 people. And now they're turning around saying, hey, I got 3 people that want to invest. Hey, I got my investment early. I'm doing really well. I like working with you guys. You're very transparent. You're very good on sending newsletters out monthly. You guys have weekly calls, and you're really good at this. And again, that's the asset management, but that helps out with raising capital when they see you guys are running the deal. And it just makes it awesome. But also just meeting face to face, having these meetups, getting on calls like this, and you're like, oh, I saw you in a meetup with Mondeo, or I saw you meet with Ryan on there. How'd you get in there? And just talking, tell people what you do. And you can say you're an investor if you have not bought anything yet. You just don't want to, say I have 1,000 units if you don't have them. But change your profile on Facebook, LinkedIn, of what you do, where you want to be. But be consistent about it. Be deliberate. And again, I say it a bunch of times. People have to know, like, and trust you. And when you're raising capital, if they don't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you, they're just going to go by. And you're like, man, I can't do this. So, and real quick, in multifamily, it's a team sport. So when you're talking about raising capital or finding deals, you don't have to be a deal finder and underwrite these deals, because underwriting is pretty big too, and raise the capital and asset management and due diligence and general contract. Do 1 or 2 of those things and be really good at one of those 2 of those things that you like and that you're good at.
Good. Thank you. Any question for Ryan on multifamily? Any question for Ryan? All right. So thank you so much, Ryan. So how can someone get hold of you?
What's that?
How can we get in touch with you? How can someone get hold of you?
So yeah, I'm on Facebook. I can give you guys my cell and text me. I have a Facebook group. It's called F7. It's a private group. We have a couple of Facebook groups. I can give you guys my cell if you want me to now. I can, or you can give it out.
Go ahead.
727 729 2647. Again, my name is Ryan Dumas. But I mean, the biggest thing I want to just tell you guys is team is very important to keep networking and learning and ask questions, because a lot of people are having a hard time really on closing deals and then asset management. But I just want to also thank you for your time, Elena's time that's on here, and then I had Lindsay and Danny Galvin that I've closed 10 deals with my business partner Madeline. And, it's really awesome. So, I mean, I am blessed. I'm thankful. And, Jake and Gino, Family Mastermind, and all this. So it's just really cool. But again, I mean, you just start off small, but have these big dreams, but have the goals to go with it. Because if you have no goals, dreams are nothing. But writing these goals down and getting there. But really big thing, again, like I said, is team and, working together.
Thank you so much, Ryan Dumas. Let's give Ryan hands. Let's clap for Ryan. Thank you so much. Thanks for the time, and I'll talk to you. Thank you so much, Ryan. All right, take it. All right, everyone. So right now, I'm gonna call Matthew Debbie. So he's just gonna go through his slide. So for us. So if you want to, we're going to see how he underwrites his deal and analyze it, because you make your money when you buy. So everybody knows that. So if you don't buy right, so it's a problem. So I can see Brooks. And so I'm going to call Matthew. Debbie's just going to go through, and after that we're going to have the sponsors. They're going to tell us what we do. Then I would like to know how many wholesalers we have. We need to connect. So I need some more deals. So if you're a wholesaler and I know some other people need deals, so you guys, you need to work more, get us more deals. So I need more deals, okay? And I know some other people that need more deals. So Matthew, Debbie. Let's give Matthew.
Thank you. Matt, thank you again for having me. So anyway, here we go. Matt wanted me to take a little bit of time and just kind of go over how I'm kind of structuring my deals in this market, this environment. And really, I haven't changed a whole lot. What's changed is that rates have basically doubled. They've gone from 3.5%, 4% to 7%, 7.5%. And fortunately, rents have made that climb with them as well. But I'm not really changing my buying criteria because it's certainly important to adhere to something and stick with it. So, can you give me the next slide here? All right, so we'll kind of take a look under the hood here, so to speak. Right now, this is kind of what I'm working with. 216 doors, about 200 are tenant occupied, the other 16 are being renovated in inspection phase. Fortunately, we've had very, very few vacancies over the last few years. All are self-managed, which I can opine about self-managing. I started managing them from kind of a necessity standpoint. From basically, I said, look, I want to grow, I want to grow, I want to grow, and so therefore, I'll self-manage. I can kind of save myself some money, which, looking back on that, I don't know whether I would really kind of recommend that strategy. I think at the very least, I would hire some sort of VA, set some sort of structure up where tenants are not going to be giving you those 2 a.m. phone calls, which rarely do happen, but they do happen. 95% occupied with subsidized tenants, voucher tenants, Section 8, whatever you want to call them. And over 95% of them were purchased using short-term, the good old BRRRR strategy. I don't even buy, renovate, rent, refinance. I'm sure you guys know it better than I do, but buying it with short-term capital, renovating it, finding a tenant, and refinancing into long-term capital. So, got nobody at the wheel over here. So, I want to stress before I kind of get into this is kind of what works for me. This is my system. And I say that for a couple different reasons. Number one, I still don't know it all. And one system is certainly not going to fit all as far as this goes. I'll kind of elaborate on that a little bit. And number two, again, this is all kind of subjective. There's people that have pro formas, they have all kinds of fancy spreadsheets and 30 different data points that they want to put in. And I'm not knocking that. That's what might work for them. This is what I've kind of found that is kind of at least a baseline that works for me. So, as you can see here, when I'm looking at a property, underwriting a property, I'm really only looking at pretty much 2 main components: equity and cash flow. So, especially if you're using a BRRRR strategy, obviously equity is very important. You've got to be able to refinance. You've got to have sufficient equity to refinance out of it. So, very simply put, does the deal have about 30% equity, or am I going to be at 70% loan to value when I close on that property? Because I'm going to need to leave some room in that equity position when I refinance. There's going to be closing costs on the refinance side, and I don't really want to be getting, you never really want to come to a refinance having to bring money to the table. That's just not a whole lot of fun. You want to avoid that at all costs. So you want to be right around 70% loan to value or have 30% equity in the property. If you're using a BRRRR strategy, with that being said, you've got to be really, really good at comping properties out. I see, probably a lot of people in this room have seen them, these wholesalers that send out deals, and, they're using comps from Mars. They're using comps that are 1.5 miles away when it's a brick row home and there's 3 comps on that street. So if you're going to start using this strategy and get really, really good at it, you've really got to know where that property is going to appraise. You thinking it's going to appraise for 240 and it appraises at 215 or 220, and you multiply that by 5 or 10 deals, you're going to be potentially in a big world of hurt. So it's not, I can tell you, it's not rocket science. A little bit of practice will kind of get you where you need to be, but in terms of comping out properties, you need to look at what is in that immediate area. And don't go off of what somebody says the ARV is, or, you know, the comps that some third party that's trying to get you to buy the deal is providing. So equity is kind of vanity in a way. Equity is what is gonna make you all these millions of dollars in real estate that you hear about, but I would not suggest buying properties for an equity play. Cash flow. Kind of ironic, I think I have a hoodie with Grant Cardone, and it says, cash flow is king. So my goal, I think, next year is to exceed Grant and Elena's unit count, but we'll see about that. But I mean that in all seriousness. Cash flow, as it says there at the bottom, it keeps the lights on. If you're not cash flowing sufficiently, you can have all the equity in the world. Your portfolio is just, it's going to be a house of cards. And especially when you're first getting started off, cash flow is even more important. If you have 5 units that are cash flowing, let's say $300 a unit, after all your expenses, then you have a vacancy and you have a $1,500 mortgage or debt service on that. Where are you? You're breaking even at best. Then you have a furnace or a roof go up, you're down $3,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 that month, and you're in a rough spot. So do not skimp on cash flow. So as I was saying a minute ago, this is kind of my baseline. I'm looking for, we talked about the equity piece, I'm looking for about $500 a unit in cash flow. So what does that mean? Well, how am I gauging that? Very simply, I'm looking at what my rent is, and I'm deducting my mortgage, which includes the taxes and insurance. So again, I have probably the most simple calculation in the world. I know a lot of people talk about vacancy factors and maintenance, and you know, I don't have third-party property management, which certainly helps on the cash flow. But again, this is what works for me. There's, again, plenty of other metrics in the world. You have DSCR, debt service coverage ratio, which, if you're going to start looking at things from that perspective, you're not really going to be making a whole lot of money unless you're about 1.5 on the debt service coverage ratio, which means that if your rent is $1,000, you've got to be at $1,500 a month, or excuse me, your mortgage is $1,000, you've got to be at $1,500 a month in rent. You have cash on cash. I'm not really putting a whole lot of money into my deal, so cash on cash for me is just not something that I'm really considering. You've got cap rate, which is kind of a calculation if you were buying in with all cash. And again, one size does not fit all, as I've talked about. And not all cash flow is created equal. Because, trust me, I could go out, I could probably find 30 properties on the MLS right now that are in C and D areas right now where you'd say, hey, you could buy these things right now. 30% equity, you have $500 a month in cash flow. Well, you know, you've got to, again, it's not created equal. $400 or $500 a month in cash flow in a B plus or A area far exceeds that same amount of cash flow, or even more, in a C and D area. So this is transitioning a little bit. As it says, cash flow is kind of always changing. You're always kind of having your property taxes pretty much are always going up. Your insurance is generally always going to be going up. So when I'm buying properties, obviously I'm trying to hit that $500 metric per month, but I'm trying to really build on that and grow on that. I'm always kind of looking at my portfolio and saying, how can I maximize profitability or cash flow on every property every single month? So one thing, if you guys take nothing else from me coming up here and talking to you guys for a little bit tonight, especially if you're doing subsidy rentals, you've got to be doing annual rent increases. You just have to do it. It takes 5 or 10 minutes. And right now, for example, Baltimore City is pretty much approving 4% cash flows across the board in the city for taking 10 minutes to fill out an online form. You have to do that. That compounds over time. You go from getting $1,600 a month in rent to 3 or 4 years later, you're getting 18 something a month in rent. And obviously, as we know, maintenance has only gone up. Inflation has only gone up. A change out for HVAC used to be, I don't know, $3,000 back in the day. Now it's $6,000. I mean, we're talking about 3 or 4 years here. So, property tax appeals. I use Maryland tax appeals. It's a free service unless they win. So why wouldn't you do that? Again, it's as simple as just basically writing an email. It takes almost no time. Lower rates, obviously that's going to come into play. A lot of us are borrowing long-term money right now in the 7s. I mean, I have some long-term debt in the 8s. So this is going to be a big thing. I also have long-term debt in the 3s. It's just been kind of a crazy environment that we've been in. But hopefully in the next year or two, we're going to see some relief on the rate side. And then obviously insurance. Insurance you're not really going to be saving a whole lot of money on, but hey, you know, if you can save a good chunk of money on insurance, then, you know, go for it. Yeah. Okay. Just some other stuff to you know, when I'm looking at a deal. I'm looking at those 2 factors, but I'm also taking some other stuff into consideration. For example, is it an area that I know? I buy a lot, for example, on the northeast side of the city. So I know exactly what the rents are going to be. I know, for the most part, typically exactly what the property is going to look like, even once we tear it all apart. You know, I know the exact layout. My guys know the exact layout. You know, whereas if I bought a house in Westminster or Frederick, and nothing against those areas, I'm kind of going into unknown territory. And so again, just because I'm hitting that metric doesn't necessarily mean, oh yeah, okay, it's a go. Easy fill. Am I going to be able? Is it a good area essentially? Am I going to be able to get a tenant in there relatively quickly? And then also, are they going to stay there for a while? Just like I said, with the C and D areas, you can cash flow great in those areas all day long. But what's going to happen 2 months in when the house gets broken into for the 3rd time, and they say, hey, I want to get out of here? You know. Like I said, good areas, generally less turnover. Equity play, again, I don't really buy for equity, but hey, if it's in an up and coming area, that's something that I'm going to take into consideration. Also, another thing is, what's my level of renovation? May I get a little bit more aggressive on something where I'm only going to be doing, say, a $15,000 or $20,000 renovation? I don't want to be buying and going nuts and going to my ceiling when I need to be doing a $60,000 or $70,000 renovation. That's not, you know, you don't want to be paying top dollar to be doing a 2 or 3 month renovation, which, by the way, is going to go from $70,000 to $80,000 before you know it. So I wouldn't really max out on those deals, even if it is a great location. Also, you know, again, for me, I'm not really injecting a whole lot of cash into the deal, but if you are putting cash in the deal, then I would really want a higher rate of return. If I'm putting, say, $40,000, $50,000 into a deal, then I'm really going to want some good numbers in return for that. You know, I'm not from a landlord perspective. Being a landlord is so cash intensive. I would protect your cash like it's your firstborn. So I don't really love parking a ton of money into a deal unless you're really confident you're going to be able to get that out within the next 6 to 12 months. Essentially, you're going to refinance. So that's about all I have. I think we'll open up for some questions a little bit here. Just a couple things, some I guess house cleaning or keeping it to go over with you guys. Where you can find me, I have a couple Facebook pages, Matt Derby REI, which is kind of like a coaching website that I have. I have Derby Real Estate, which will show you some of the renovations that we do. Jet Financial, I've recently launched a hard money and commercial lending platform. You can reach me, there's my email there, if you want to send me some smoking hot deals that are at 40% equity and $800 a month in cash flow, shoot them right over to me. I will take a look at it, and but if you need to contact me, that's kind of where I'm at, and next one. And just a couple more things. I do some coaching. As I just mentioned, I have a coaching website. I'm actually launching an online coaching platform. So I used to do kind of in-person, in my office workshops. I'm kind of getting away from that, doing kind of a virtual model. If you have any interest, jump on board. Love to see you in there. There's the link right there. I know it's probably maybe a little bit hard to make out. I've got some coupon codes up there. Or if you just put down mattderbyrei@gmail, if you email that, we can send you out the link. We'll send you out the coupon codes to get you started with that. And this is very, very random, but if you are a golfer, we are Mike Reiser over here, the goofball, and I are doing we do a charity golf outing a little bit in about a month's time, May 25th at the Woodlands, which ironically is only about a mile away. If you'd like to participate in that, it's about 100 people, generally all in real estate. Every last dime goes to Casey Cares, which is a local charity. So we're hoping to raise about $30,000 this year. So again, if you want to come out, if you want to sponsor, if you like golfing, if you just want to network, there's a link right there. Sign up. We'd love to see you out there. That's about all I got.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Let's give him a hand. So this is what I'm gonna do. I want Mindy to join quick at 8:30. Matt, we're gonna have him back, and we're gonna have Brenton and everybody on stage. So we'll have you for the question in a few minutes, okay? So then we can ask. So Mindy works with Elena. So she just have like 10 minutes stuff for us. Then we'll be back live here, okay? So Mindy is she works with Elena. She has built a lot of businesses. She's a millionaire, so you can see her what is it called? Biography on the website. Just go ahead and hear what she has to say to us in this summit. Mindy, can you hear me?
I can hear you. You sound great. Can you hear me?
Yes. How are you? Take it from here.
I'm doing awesome, Matthew. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here. It's an honor and a privilege to meet all of you and fun to connect with you. I just want to start out by just telling you my story so you can see why we are so excited to connect and talk with like-minded people like yourself. I know there's a lot of big players in the room, and I love it. So a little background about me. My husband and I, we live here in Boise, Idaho, and 30 years ago, I was a preschool teacher. Okay, so I long time ago, I kind of started out. I'm here to give you proof that if you have a work ethic and you have a desire and you have a purpose, like Elena talked about, you really can create whatever you want. But my husband and I, we've built two multi-million-dollar businesses in the networking space, in the tech space, as well as health and financial services. And what our expertise really is connecting with people. And what I've realized is your network is really your net worth. And in real estate, that is key. I'm a business partner with Elena in the real estate space. And, we're building big teams, but I want to tell you kind of how I was able to go from, just barely making it to really having success and building big teams and leveraging myself. In real estate, you kind of think about, you sell a home or you sell a commercial space, right? And you get paid a commission and you can make incredible money doing that. but wouldn't it be cool if you can also leverage yourself? And this is where I really learned the power of leverage, is by not just me, myself out making things happen for me and my family, but what if you had 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 people out there selling, and you're making a little commission every time they sell? That's kind of the power of leverage. And that's really what my husband and I have done. We've built teams of over 150,000 people in 23 countries, and it's given us our time, it's given us that freedom and really options in our life. But there's key things that we did, and it's a lot like Elena's story. In fact, you know, she was telling her story, and really, you know, the main thing that they did is they first had a purpose, they had a reason why. And so I would say to all of you, whether you're just getting started in real estate or whether you are a big player there, but you have big dreams, like you have a goal to get to another level. Anytime I've ever decided I'm going to go to another level, we're going to do something in a bigger space, there's really 4 steps that I always take to make that happen. First, it is that purpose. Like, what do you want? Like, what is your big goal? In the beginning, when I was basically in the early education space, to make $100,000 a month, that was like outrageous for me. Like, I couldn't even think that big, but I had that goal, and I put that goal in front of me. And this was 20 years ago, when I was driving a 1988 Chevy Corsica with 1 million miles on it, right? No air conditioning. Like, that was where I was. But I had these big, audacious dreams. And, you know, I read the book, The Magic of Thinking Big. And in that book, he said, make a little commercial about what you want your life to be like. Like, who do you want to be like? What kind of things do you want in your life? And put that out in front of you. Here I was, this shy, you know, person that really didn't have a lot of connections, had no business being in business. But here, all of a sudden, I was put into this space where, you know, we got into the franchise world, and I realized I've got to be strong. I've got to be bold, and I want these big things. So first, you have to be it before you ever have it, right? So in this statement, I made this bold statement where I said, I am Mindy Diebel, a sharp, successful, kick-butt, bold businesswoman. I get what I want. I talk to people everywhere I go. I love people. Now here, I wasn't that person before, but I started saying these things to myself. You know, I said these goals that I wanted. I'm financially independent. I make $100,000 a month. I drive a black, shiny Porsche. Well, back then I'm driving a Chevy Corsica, but I'm saying these things, right? And then I would go in, you know, before I'd walk in to try to make a deal happen, I would say, Mindy Diebel, nothing can stop you. Nothing. You look good. You feel good. You're enthusiastic, and you are persistent. Failure can't cope with persistence. You have what it takes. You go forward. Just do it. You're a multimillionaire. You got this. I'd walk into those places and I would sell everybody. And this was before I was that person. I was saying these things to myself. So I knew exactly what I wanted. I put it out there. I became a force to be reckoned with because I had these big goals in front of me and nothing could stop me. People knew that I was making things happen. See, people follow strength, not weakness. So if you have big dreams, start focusing on those dreams. Like, say these things to yourself, because you have to first be it, right? Before you can ever have it. And decide exactly what you want. Put it out there. Make a business plan and reverse engineer it. So that's like the first step, right? When I say reverse engineer it, for me, you know, I decided, okay, this is how much money I want to make. And then what do I have to do to make that happen? So, you know, how many people do I need to get connected with? How many people do I need to talk to every single day? And what do I have to do to make that happen? So make that business plan. And then the second step, really, it starts right here, right? It's your mindset. Know that it's not about your ability. It's about your commitment. What are you committed to making happen? And really, there's a difference between the 3%ers and the 97%ers. You know, in real estate, they're 97% of the people, they're really living paycheck to paycheck. There's those 3%ers, those ones that are out making it happen, those top producers. What are they doing different than 97% of the people? Well, they're willing to do what 97% of the people are not willing to do, right? They just push a little harder. They work a little smarter. They make things happen. They just go that extra mile, right? And so, and they understand that success isn't starting at the bottom and going straight to the top. Success is about, there's going to be some bumps and bruises and things that happen, but that can't stop you. There's really no such thing as a failure. There's just 3 types of people. There's winners, there's quitters, and there's winners who haven't won yet. You can't fail if you don't quit. So having that mindset, and there's 5 things that I always tell people that within this mindset of a champion, these 5 things that can stop you from being a top producer or make you a top producer. First, focus, right? It's your focus that gets you where you want. And so the number 1 key to success is having that focus and staying on top of it. So like for me, forever ago, 20 years ago, when I made that statement, I was focused on that every single day. And even though there were some challenges and some bumps and bruises, I never kept my eye off that focus, right? Like right now, you're super excited. Every time I go to an event like this, I always get super excited, right? But then tomorrow, we're going to have some things that come up, like we maybe have kids, we have jobs to go to. I don't know what they are, but we have some things that come up. Majority of people, they start getting distracted with all of those things, and they get off track on what they truly want. It's kind of like if you go on in your car and let's say you're going on vacation, you're driving someplace. Let's say you're going to Vegas or wherever. You guys are in Baltimore, so that would be a huge drive. But let's just say you decide you're going to get in your car and you're going to start driving, and you know exactly where you're going. And you're driving, right? Then all of a sudden some bugs start hitting your windshield. Well, the majority of the people, 97% of the people, you know what they do? They start focusing on the bugs. They're focusing on the bug guts, the life stuff, the distractions, the things. And what's going to happen if you are really driving and you start focus on those bug guts? You're going to veer off and you're going to crash, and you're never going to make it to your goal, right? So stay focused. Know that after I made that statement, within 5 years, I created everything that I had put into that statement. And I realized, oh my gosh, it really is what comes into your mind comes into your life. Focus is the key to success. So stay focused. No, it's not about ability. It's about commitment. Who are you connected to every single day, right? That's the 3rd thing in this mindset of a champion. Stay associated with winners. You already understand that because you're here at this event, right? You're connecting with people. You know it's about associations, and you're not afraid of making those connections and making that happen. And then the 4th thing is fear. Fear can stop anybody dead in their tracks. But understand, in order to have growth, it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel scary. And that's when you've got to go out and face those fears and just do it, right? Run to the danger is what I always say. And just know that that dragon that you're facing, he's right in front of the gold that is right there for you to go make it happen. And then last but not least, it's work ethic. Stephen Hogan says it best. You can't have $1 million dream with a minimum wage work ethic, right? It's going to take work. So with mindset, right? Understanding that those are the only things that can stop you from having big things, keeping that in front of you. Then now what do we do with all of that, right? So the 3rd step is make a schedule for yourself. Maybe you want to build a multi-million-dollar company. You know how we built a multi-million-dollar company? We treated it like a multi-million-dollar business when it was worth nothing. When nothing was happening, okay, we went to the office every single day. In the very beginning, my office was my bedroom, okay? But every single day I went into the office, I started making calls, I started making it happen, right? We treated it like a multi-million-dollar company. And because we treated it like a multi-million-dollar business, we were walking like a multi-millionaire, we were talking like a multi-millionaire, we had that statement in front of us, guess what? Eventually, we created that multi-million-dollar business. How do you treat it like a multi-million-dollar business? You have a schedule for yourself, like you're going to the office every single day. You set time aside of when you are working on your multi-million-dollar business. Even if it's a side hustle in the beginning before it's a big deal. You're building a multi-million-dollar real estate business and maybe you still have a full-time job. Treat it like a big business, right? Decide when you're going to put that time in to go make those connections, when you're going to put that time in to go network and do the things that you've got to do, and make sure that the time you put in, that they are income generating activities. What do I mean by that? Right? Sometimes we think we're working our multi-million-dollar business by organizing our notes or cleaning up our desk or responding to emails, but is that really making you money? Right? Grant says it best, who's got my money? Make sure that the things that you are doing, they are income generating activities. Like you're talking to people to go make a deal happen, right? You're doing the things that are going to make you money. This is so important. And then last but not least, persist until the miracle. The miracle will come if you persist long enough. You know, I think about like Kevin, oh my gosh, I can't even think of his name right. Famous comedian, like, oh, Kevin Hart. Okay. So do you know that he went through 3,607 auditions? 3,607 auditions before somebody finally said, you know what, this guy is funny. I like this guy. How many people would have quit after 10 auditions or 20 auditions or 30 auditions? 3,607 audition. Howard Schultz, you know, all of us drink Starbucks, right? Do you know that Starbucks wouldn't exist if Howard Schultz hadn't been persistent? He filled out over 240 bank applications before somebody finally said, you know what, I like this coffee idea. Let's do this, right? Most people will quit after one bank application. So just understand the miracle is there. It will happen if you persist long enough. My motto always is failure can't cope with persistence. So you guys have what it takes. I am just so excited to be in this conference with you guys. You know, like Elena said, Elena and I and Matt, we are working on a business project. We're super excited about what's happening in the real estate space. And we'd love to connect with you if you would like to connect or learn more about what that all is about. It's a great way to leverage yourself. It's a great way to create those residuals and that cash flow that I know you've been hearing about. And so connect with Matthew, or connect with me. You can find me on Instagram. My handle is @MindyDeeble, so MINDY, D as in dog, EEB as in boy, LE. You can find me there. You know, but connect with Elena and I and Matt, and we'd love to work with you. So Matthew, thank you so much for having me on. It was a pleasure, and I'm just so excited to be connected to all of you. And if I can ever add any value to you, you let me know.
Thank you so much, Mindy. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so right now we want to go to the next page. All right, take care, Mindy. So you
Okay, thank you.
If you want to hang on. So we want our vendors, you know, our sponsors to come on board on stage and, you know, tell us what they do. You know, I work with a lot of them, like I think all of them. So, you know, they are the kind of people that you call if you have a deal that, or I have this deal, this is the number, whatever, you know, they say, I'll do it. So you want to connect with those kind of people. You know, that's how you walk the deal and you make things happen. So you want to connect with the right people. That's why we have the right people right here. So I'm going to call Strauss Landon first, and I'm going to call Steven over here. Just 2 minutes, tell us about what they do, where they are, you know, what leverage they do for your loan so that you know what you need to bring to the table and ask them questions. All right?
Thank you. Hello, everybody. How are you? Happy Thirsty Thursday. So my name is Stephen Sless. I'm with Trias Lending Partners. In the back of the room, we have Eric and Joe, my esteemed colleagues joining me here this evening. So raise a hand. Who has worked with us before? Who's done a deal with Trias Lending? Anybody in the room? There we go over here. You've done a deal with us? Trying to. We're trying to too. Let's make that happen. So we gotta change that. We want to work with all of you. So Trias Lending Partners has been around for 20 years. Stellar record in the Baltimore Metro, Mid-Atlantic area. We're all about customer service at Trias Lending. That's what we pride ourselves on, our customer service and our speed to close. And if you've worked with us before, you know how quickly we move. We're 24/7, we're 365. You call us on the weekends, you text us on the weekends. You have deals, we have money, and we want to lend to you. We do short-term hard money loans, we do long-term DSCR loans, we do commercial. If you don't live in the property, we will lend money on that property. And it matters who you borrow money from, right? It really does matter who you borrow money from. And from our perspective, it matters who you lend to. Yes. So we are very cautious, we're very conservative, we're very careful, we're very calculated. We want to lend to good people. We want to establish a long-term, long-lasting relationship with all of our clients and our investors as well. So in addition to hard money and in addition to the commercial and the long-term DSCR, we also have two fantastic investment opportunities. We have a mortgage note REIT fund for accredited investors, and then we also just rolled out a rental fund where we, Trias Lending Partners as a company, is going to acquire 500 doors over the next couple of years, and anybody invested in that fund is going to ride the real estate market. It's for the more passive real estate investor. So again, thank you for the opportunity. Fantastic event tonight. Thank you, everybody. Drive home safe. Give Trias Lending Partners a call. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. One thing about them is this, whenever I have a deal, I send it to maybe Josh or somebody, and they say, Steve likes it, Steve Bond. He's gonna come there, I'll do it. That's it. So you don't have any problem. I've worked with all these sponsors. You're not gonna have problems. So now I'm gonna call Crown Title. They're my, title company. I work with Jill. So anything I want, any deal, creative deal, wholesaler, wherever, she's gonna take care of it for me.
Hello, everybody. My name's Shannon Coker, and I am with Crown Title. Again, like he said, we pretty much specialize in every title, real estate, commercial, investment properties, wholesale properties. We are pretty much your title expert. We're located in Catonsville, and we're licensed in pretty much every state, which is good. So we can, if you have a property that's out of state and you need title work done on that, we can take care of it. Been in business for 30 years. David Thurston is the owner and attorney of the company, and same location, same owner for 30 years. Actually, this is our 30th year, so we're celebrating 30 years in business. But yeah, David's just a very hands-on attorney. If you ever need anything, if you have a situation with a title, any issues that pop up, we like to call him the fixer of a lot of titles. We have a lot of title companies that will actually reach out to David that can't get a transaction figured out because of a title issue, and with his wealth of knowledge, he always seems to have the answers and is able to, get that deal closed. So we would appreciate it if you ever have any, title orders that you would need to send over. You can reach out to Crown, and I don't know if you visited our booth out there, but I also would like to do I was going to ask you if we can do the raffle at some point.
Maybe they can come
Yeah.
and do it.
So after, but I did have everybody put their business cards in because we're going to do the raffle with our gift basket. But thank you so much, Crown Title. Keep us in mind. If you want to grab our information out there, all of our stuff's over there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now, I'm gonna call a real property partner. This guy, right now, I got like 10 mentees. I mentor people, I buy property for them, I walk them through. This is the kind of guy I call him or I text him, I have this deal, can you do it? Is this? They leverage on my, experience and relationship with him. He's gonna get your deal done. So I'm gonna call Tebow, Mr. Wareham. So come and tell us about your company. So,
Thanks, Matthew. Great event tonight. Thank you. Appreciate all the speakers. Great content. My name is Tibor Wilhelm. I operate a private lending fund in Maryland. We fund deals in Maryland and across a couple states, DC, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Delaware. We pride ourselves on quick and efficiency. So if you're looking to get funding done quickly, if you're looking to get your draws done quickly, we're good guys to go to. Looking forward to connecting with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So you can still visit them over there outside. And I want to call Yona. So I just met this guy. I love the flooring. I buy floors everywhere. Wood floors. Where you buy stuff. Wood floors, floor and deco. But this guy, I saw the floor that he has. It's very, very awesome. Very, very awesome. I believe you guys have seen him out there. So I'm going to call Yona. Is he still out there? Oh, it's not there. Okay, right now then I'm going to call Dominion Landing. Are they here, Dominion? Okay, Yona is coming? Okay. Yeah, that's ready. No, you're looking for flooring, for long-term rental or flips. Talk to this guy, he got a lot of good stuff. That's okay. Stay right there.
What's up, guys? Thanks so much for coming out. It's nice to meet many of you, and I hope after the event I get to meet some more of you. But our company, Lucida Surfaces, we manufacture LVT flooring. We do a lot of work with investors, fix and flippers, developers, and we manufacture, so we make a product that is high quality, and we go direct to the contractor. So you're getting a good price. We try to cut out the retail middleman and provide a good product, good service, and rock out amazing projects.
Thank you.
Shout out to Matt. Thank you for setting us up. Matt's been awesome throughout the whole process. And
no problem.
Yeah, it's great meeting, man.
Thank you so much. So right now, I want to call also pinpoint skip. You want data? That's the most important thing. So you need data so that you get the right data, and get the right mix. So this guy will help you with the right record, and it's not going to give you duplicated record. So it's going to let me talk.
Hi, I'm the owner of Pinpoint Skip. You may have seen our cocktail napkins out there. It's pretty special.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so we sell motivated seller leads for investors, realtors, and contractors. Reach out to us at info@pinpointskip.com or just go check out our data menu at pinpointskip.com.
All right. Thank you. Is there Dominion still around on the left? Dominion still around on the left? All right. So we're just going to go ahead. So right now, I want to call... Right now, we're going to have like a panel section, and we're going to come back to math also, so that we can ask him some questions. So I actually want to call Brenton Arrows, to come on stage. So it's going to be like a kind of question. Then I'm going to bring some other people on stage, at this time. Yeah, so Brenton is a good guy. You can do, some of my questions to him are, he told me that I did 30 flips last year. So I was like, how did you do that? So, so you need a good team. You need a good people to help you out. So I'm just going to have him introduce himself, and I'm going to ask him a couple of questions. How many wholesalers do we have in the building? How many wholesaler? One? Just, okay, two? Wholesaler? How many wholesaler? Connect with people, let's connect and, you have deal. So I'm going to have Brenton now just introduce yourself a little bit. No, you can sit down. You can do it here.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Brent Hess. Honored to be here.
Yes. So, Brenton, so I just want to tell us a little bit about yourself. So, how long have you been in real estate and stuff, and because I know you are doing very well. So, what are the strategies? So just tell us a little bit about yourself first.
I got into real estate in 2014. I'm 30 years old right now, and I was a college kid. Met somebody, and it was like the blind leading the blind. Like, we partnered up and tried to flip a house, and we did one year, then like two the next. And it really wasn't until I had graduated from college and like actually had to use real estate investing to put food on the table. So that was probably that was 2015, 16, and just was going through partnerships and really just trying to find my way. And then fast forward, I have ended up losing everything that I had built a few years later, and at one point I was in a big hole, hundreds of thousands, and climbed out of that, and eventually we're going to talk about relationships. I've met some key relationships, and it's like that saying where time makes us all look like geniuses. It just kind of just hung in there and did what I could and paid some dues, and next thing you know, it's been a good few years. No partners or anything, but a lot of key relationships that have helped bring all that together. Few of them here today, so happy to get into that.
So how do you get to do 10 flips? Are you managing those yourself, or how do you get to do 10 deals last year?
Yeah, my capacity is probably like one. It wasn't until I met Aaron Alberti, who's in the back of the blue, and he is my contractor, he's my friend, my mentor. And he helped me. He was on the panel here last year.
He's coming up.
He's coming up?
Yeah.
Get your walking boots on. You'll be coming up. Special guest. So he's brilliant and been real helpful. So he handles everything. My job is just to find deals. There's a lot of lenders out here, many are here today, but it's the deal flow that like my bank account's either up if I get deal flow or down if it's not. Aaron takes care of everything.
Oh, good. So how do you find your deals?
Finding deals is like catching whatever you can, fishing in a pond. And a lot of the ways that I find deals mainly are realtor relationships. I have one here who brought me a deal, and I'm really appreciative of it, and I give him the listing right back. Wholesalers bring me deals, and then I get data. We have Faisals right here. He's a great place to get data, and I send out mail and do a little outreach, like some calling strategically, but really some wholesalers, realtors, and then sending out a lot of mail.
Okay, this question is just a general question, but for someone that wants to start a real estate or that's just getting out of college, what advice? I know you said you're 30 years old, so you did 30 years last year. That's awesome. So for someone coming out of college or something, what advice, and I like real estate, what advice would you give? What does the person need to be doing right now?
Yeah, I was the college kid. I was in college debt, didn't know what I was doing. Really wanted to do this successfully somehow, and I can absolutely relate. I ran a college university real estate club at Towson, which is where I went, University of Maryland College Park, Loyola, McDaniel, UMBC. So somebody in that atmosphere, I remember being there. I remember sitting in rooms like this. And I can tell you the greatest piece of advice, I think, is building the relationships. When I look at last year, there's just a few key relationships that brought all of it together. Like one key relationship with somebody I met years ago and went to lunch with ended up years and years later being last year, fed me 7 deals. It was my relationship with Aaron that showed me that I could do more. It's just like you go to these events, you meet people, and it might not be delayed gratification. It might be another year, 2, 3, but eventually that'll come together. So stay in this, keep coming to these events, and then get with people where you want to be, and just figure out who they can introduce you to. Because I really think if you just pour into your time into relationships and finding that first deal, between those two, I really do think everything will come together.
Oh, good, good. Anybody have a question for him? Why I called Matthew upstage, then we're gonna have this kind of panel. Anybody have a question for him? Question, anything you want? Any question?
What type of deal do you do? Residential, commercial?
As far as what deals do I do, residential, residential single family flips here in Maryland, the counties, not really the city, and also I have some rentals that are single family, and I also I bought my first couple small commercial rental buildings, so the commercial space is something I plan to get more into if you have any of those deals.
Any other question? Okay, I'm gonna have Matthew back here so that we can have, then you stay. So then I'm gonna have Aaron come up on the stage. So yes, please. So I know you wanted to ask Matthew a question the other time, right? You have a question? Yes. So, okay. So we'll take the questions right now. So.
Hello there, I'm Helen Enob. I'm a real estate property manager. I've been a real estate attorney in other states and so forth. Now, here in Baltimore, I came here for a reason, to try and sort of give back. So I have a few investors in New York waiting to invest in properties here in Baltimore. Now, the problem I've been having so far is that the areas I have selected, I'm being told by the banks that they don't like the block. They don't like it. It's too rough and one thing or another. But the question for you specifically was, you said you are doing these deals. You don't want to bring any money to the table. So you want it to be, I guess, 70-30 with the equity and so forth. Now, do you not actually bring the closing costs to the table, or how do you wrap that into the deal?
Yeah, so I'm actually looking to meet those numbers and that criteria. In other words, be below that 70% loan to value, or including the closing costs in there. Yeah. So, to kind of echo what Brent said, I certainly didn't start doing that my first, fifth, or 25th deal. There was a lot of deals that happened before that where lenders were comfortable with me literally basically showing up, signing paperwork, not stroking a check or sending a wire, and here are the keys. But I'm sure, especially in this market, there's still a lot of people that are saying, where are deals, and I'm still able to find deals where I can buy them at or below that 70% threshold, even including the closing costs being financed in.
Okay. I do have couple more questions, if you don't mind.
Just one more.
One more,
Yeah.
okay. Now, when it comes to the appraisers, have you had any difficulty with appraisers? In particular, one of the appraisers on a deal, he did the comps with leasehold titles instead of fee simple when there were so many fee simples. So he did it with leasehold comps, and he didn't bump it up enough to compensate for the fact that it's leasehold. Have you had any issues with appraisers?
Not as far as that goes. I actually come from a mortgage background. I did mortgages for almost 15 years. Typically, at least it's been a while since long removed, but I think you only have to have one leasehold comp. And if you're buying out the ground rent, which most lenders require you to do, and you're going to be fee simple at closing, I don't know whether you need to worry about any leasehold comps. But one thing that I really can't recommend enough is that if you're doing this at scale, or I guess really either way, you need to be working with a lender that has a very good relationship with their appraisers. And that's kind of maybe stating the obvious, but when I say a good relationship, you've got a really good relationship. That, you know, there's some lenders that are just gonna shot put out orders and, you know, kind of whoever gets it, and you know, you might have a guy that lives 50 miles away in Western Maryland coming to do an appraisal in Baltimore City. It doesn't really know the local market, and there's no relationship. I mean, again, Brenton said it a number of times. Real estate is all about relationships, including appraisers, and you know, it makes all the difference.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Any other question for him? All right. So right now, I just want to throw one question. So the interest rate right now, it's crazy. So although it's a little bit better, you know, than like a few months ago, but how do you guys? And I will start with Brandon. You do some renters, right? You do renters too. So at this point, do you change out how you underwrite your deal before you buy a deal, or rehab or something? How do you feeling on the interest rate and stuff like that? What do you look out for?
I have a spreadsheet, and I just changed that spot that says interest rate to what I think I'm getting, and that is going to spit out a different number at the cash flow at the bottom. And if you don't know, there's always lenders like Tibor who you can contact and kind of get an idea of like what are interest rates when you're underwriting these deals. And when you do that, then it's going to spit out a different number. So it does play a factor, and that's how I put it in there. But when it comes to the rentals, like these guys have more than I do, so they might have a different way, but that's what I do.
On interest rate, do you change anything, you know, from how you know, before the interest rate went up? Do you change anything on how you do your deals, or are you on grad or
I
something
think
like
Matt
that?
said it earlier. The rents have been going up with the interest rate also. So I guess that, you know, I try to focus on the spreads from like an equitable standpoint, and also the cash flow standpoint. So, you know, at the end of the day, I try to keep like my whole business really simple, and I just try to maximize that spread on the cash flow and maximize my equitable spread. So I don't really worry about what the interest rate is. I'm more, but I do factor it in on, you know, what I pay for a property or the things I can control. So, you know, I have long-term debt at 10%, and you know, everybody, oh my gosh, you know, that's high. You know, I have one property in particular, it cash flows 6 figures a year off of 10% long-term debt. So, you know, I bought it right, you know, so that's the, I also have some stuff that's in those threes that doesn't barely cash flow at all. So it's obviously one factor, but, you know, it just has to be a factor.
Gotcha. Matthew, you want to say something about the interest rates?
Yeah, I mean, as far as interest rates go, in terms of underwriting deals, I'm just using today's rates. You know, I mean, what did I close on a refinance this week or last week? Once you start trying to have a magic ball about interest rates being this or that, you know, once you think you know where interest rates are going, you're going to quickly find out that you have no idea where they're going. So, you know, you don't want to underwrite yourself out of the deal and say, well, I'm going to underwrite this refinancing it at 9%. Okay, well, what happens if rates actually do go down a little bit? So if you want to pad that number maybe a little bit, let's say rates are at 7.25, you want to say, okay, I want to be a little conservative and say, I'm going to underwrite it at refinancing at 7.5. I can be on board with that, but you know, again, don't underwrite yourself out of deals because of what ifs and all this other stuff that Aaron just mentioned. I mean, control what you can control, and rates are not something you can control. So work with what's going on today, what environment you're in. You don't know what environment you're going to be in tomorrow, next week, next month. But what happens, happens. You know, buy it at a good price, and you should be okay. And hey, every deal is not going to be a winner. That's the bottom line.
Sure.
You know, I mean, you saw my rap sheet with how many properties I have. I can pinpoint deals I bought in the last 6 months where
I'd go back on it and you know, kind of do like a post review analysis and say, yeah, I maybe should pass on that one, you know, so, but again, you know, work with today's numbers and just, you know, if today's numbers work, then pull the trigger.
All right, thank you, thank you. Anybody have question on interest? Yes, Leo. Can you give him mic? Leo, yes.
I got a question, and it kind of pertains to interest rates as well. Let's say you have a deal, you're all in for 100 grand, purchase, renovation, closing costs, and you did great on it. It's worth, let's say, it prices to 200. Okay, so you got a deal, you're all in for 100, purchase, renovation, closing. It prices for 200. Do you just do rate and term, take out your 100, now you're in it for $0, and let it cash flow? Or would you say, okay, the lender's gonna let me 150, 160, borrow more, use that money for other deals, and the connection to the interest rate is, would you have done that when rates were back in the 4s and maybe not do it now because that money's now more expensive? I guess it's a personal thing, but cash now or better cash flow from rent?
Take the cash.
Go ahead. Go ahead, it's on.
I say take the cash. I mean, why? We're going to borrow from T-Bor back there at 12%, and we're going to turn down cash at whatever, 7%, or whatever it is now, 7.5%. So I always say take the cash. I mean, I don't know why people say I don't want to, you know, I want more cash flow, but no cash. And then they turn around and go to the hard money lender and borrow at 12%. So.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
I would generally agree for, first of all, a couple of things. You gotta look at the deal. You know, if you're pulling the maximum amount of cash out and you're not really cash flowing very well on it, maybe not, but generally speaking, again, I mentioned it earlier, the more units that you get, the more you're just gonna start blowing through cash. Things are gonna come up. You know, I had a $25,000 sewer line replacement. You know, you're going to have stuff coming at you from every angle, and yeah, I would second what Aaron said. I mean, money at 8% or 7% beats capital at 12%. So do you have to leverage everything to the max? I don't know whether you need to go that far, but pulling some cash off the table and throwing in your bank account, I mean, hey, if nothing else, you could pay it right back down. You pulled $40,000 out. 5 months later, you say, you know what? I don't really need that $40,000. Yeah, it's not going to recast your payment. You know, it's not going to change your cash flow by making that lump sum payment. But you know, I think it's very rare for somebody in the landlording space to be sitting there saying, "Man, I just got too much cash on hand right now." You know. There's a lot of people that are, you know, they're rolling deep in having tons of equity, but, you know, can they stroke a check today or tomorrow for 100 or 200 grand? In many cases, no, from my experience. So stacking up that cash for me is typically a good option.
Good.
And yeah, if you're getting that money and if rates come around at 4% again, then yeah,
finance.
Yeah.
Then I would pretty much say leverage everything and just about it's to the max.
All right. Any other question in that area? Okay. Okay, let me just ask, how many contractor do we have in the building, or electrician, or, okay, can you stand up, let people see you? How many contractor? Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. All right. So I want to go. So Aaron, first. So on the construction side, what is too much? You know, I know a lot of people are having problem when they rehab, and probably they spend too much or they underestimate. You know, construction budget. It's a lot of problem, and you know, causes a lot of problems. So how can someone look at it? Let me see this
distressed property now, and how much do I need to spend on it, or what is too much? I think that's actually my main question.
Well, I mean, let me just give a disclaimer. This is just opinions up here, for me at least, when it comes to the subject. You know, I try to, I believe just from that appraisals are derived from mostly location, size. There's a couple of categories like rehabbed, maybe lived in, and then like disasters. So, you know, I try to talk my customers out of like not getting too caught up in the TV shows and the magazines and like putting that chandelier in a kitchen, no matter what the price point is, because it's just not going to add any value to the appraisal. And if you're talking about even a flip or a rental, there's not much difference. The appraisal pretty much comes in at the same, and it's hard to sell a property for more than the appraisal. So you want to maximize the sales price to the appraisal, but I think it becomes maybe a waste of money beyond that. And I know it's tempting to make that house shine on Facebook, but I think the gray floor that I've been using at $2 a square foot or whatever it is gets you just as much of an appraised value as the $6 purple floor or whatever you know that you like. And so I'm pretty much trying to hit appraisal numbers because that typically maxes out what you're going to get anyways. And I've seen it where, you know, look, you get $20,000 more than we thought or whatever, and then the appraisal comes back in and you're lowering that price $20,000 back down because people buy houses with borrowed money. So it's a big debate. I try to lean on hitting that minimal rehabbed standard.
Gotcha. That's good. Thank you. Anybody question on rehabbing and stuff? Yes, because he's actually I would say the biggest contractor in Maryland right now. He does a lot of rehab for himself and for other people. So ask some questions. Yeah, go ahead.
My question is, I guess for all three of you guys, since doing like multiples a year, so are you guys still doing the big box stores like Home Depot, Lowe's, or like do you have like accounts in like, for example, like Wayfair has a business account, or like a lot of online things has business accounts these days. So are you guys doing like planning early and buying stuff in bulk, or just still individually doing it that way through Home Depot and stuff?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a big Home Depot guy. Lowe's also. We pretty much buy whatever's closest to the job. So, like I said, we're not really the type of contractor being in this investor space that's like, I hate to use the example, but we're not looking for that chandelier. So we're looking for a chandelier. So typically the amount of time it takes to either get something delivered or drive across town to find your favorite chandelier, I just assume go to the closest hardware store, which is typically a Home Depot, that's basically how we do our. Now we're in the investor space. I can't speak for like, custom, anything else. We're looking to spend maybe not $30 on a chandelier, but maybe like $150 on a chandelier, and it comes down to, I think we also forget how long it takes to logistically to get the material to the job. And so I think like the Home Depot and the big box stores are just so convenient. And while they're there, they can grab the paint, they can grab the whatever else they need that day, and they have it all, So I use very few other suppliers. But I do like that guy's flooring that was up here, so I don't want to knock the sponsor here, but
I love it.
Yeah, I like that flooring. So.
Matthew, you want to say something on that?
The same thing. I try and keep everything as simple as possible. Use the same materials, which typically are sourced at Depot for all the jobs. I've been there. I've done that. I bought fixtures off of Amazon and all that other stuff, and your electrician shows up to put the fixtures in, and the one light is missing this, and then you you've got to be going to the UPS
That's
store
right.
to return them, and then, you know, it's gonna take you 5 more days. Amazon's a lot quicker these days than they used to do it. I just think that those big box stores have everything that you really need when all said and done.
I'll add one more thing real quick. I think from an investor perspective, it's important to work with whatever works for your contractor. I can speak in this relationship here. It took me a minute to acquiesce and say, you know what, I need to make sure that you're profitable. I need to make sure that I fall inside your business model. And that was tough to do from an ego perspective, from the pictures on Facebook, but he delivers a great product, and at the end of the day, it's where he wants to get his materials, how. I mean, I sent you a Amazon link, I think, of one of our first houses, and yeah, he shook his head and like sent it back, like, it's just not gonna work, man. And the thing is, because we gotta make sure he's profitable, because if he's not, then I'm not a good account. And I think that's an important distinction when it comes to materials, just, you know, going with what they go with, what they use, and make sure that they're well taken care of, and then you will be too.
Thank you. Question right there?
As a contractor, I just have a quick question for you guys. Thanks. I've been doing contracting for 7 years, and in 2020, I changed my model to help out investors to fix their houses because nobody wanted us to come to their house. And we have done many flips and many rentals. I just want to get your perspective in terms of when you come to the point that you trust your contractor, when you come to the point like, you know, you have done, obviously, every contractor has a minimum of numbers of houses they could do and minimums of people that are running around them. But would you go back to the same contractor that you were dealing to the first deal? Or would you keep them the same, or you will go to find somebody else? Would that trust, what I want to know, would that trust that you build with them, even though, you know, they go in, they go buy it, and they come back, they live your life easier than rather than, you know, let's shop around, let's get somebody else, few $1,000s less. Would you stick to that contract that you picked from beginning, from a get-go?
Yeah, I mean, for one, never trust your contractor. I mean, never. And so,
so we should not trust you.
Don't. I mean, from your, I mean, never. You know, it's be on top of your jobs and make sure you know what's going on, and make sure that that you know what something's going to look like before you give those orders out, and that's how you get yourself in trouble. So now, with that said, if you get a contractor that you get along with, and I think we're all here because we are interested in profiting of some way or another, you know, if that contractor is working for you and you're profiting, you know, it's kind of expensive to constantly be trying new people all the time. And so I have guys all the time, people will come by the jobs and be like, man, that guy doesn't work very hard. You could probably get somebody faster, better looking or whatever. And it's like, you know, that guy costs me $250 a day and I'm getting $300 a day for him. Why would I disrupt that $50? Maybe I'll add to it, but what am I going to do? Go get somebody for $220 a day when that guy's getting a certain level of profit there. So there's a comfortability there, but I don't trust that guy. He gets paid on Friday after he does the work. If I trusted him, I'd prepay him, and I don't do that. So it's I respect that guy and I like that guy, but I don't trust that guy. And so and that's how I manage contractors and labor, you know, with a high level of respect, but I don't trust anything they say. You know, I watch them, I analyze them, and I manage them accordingly, and I use them. There's so many people that come and say they can do this, and this, and we try it, and they still say they can do this, and this, but I notice they're only good at that, and that's where they stay. You know, so I listen to how good they are, but I put them where they're really good. You know.
Good with that? Okay. Any other question on construction contractor? You good? All right. So I'm just gonna have. So how do you? And I'm gonna come to you, Matt. So taxes. I know we don't like to talk about taxes because we always want to say that We are not a CPA and all this kind of stuff. So this is us now. So taxes, how do you do the taxes? Or I know you don't do a lot of flips again like before. I think so. So I don't know if I'm right or not. So taxes. So how do you? And maybe I'm gonna come to Brendan on that because you do a lot of flips. So how do you balance that so that you don't get it by Uncle Sam? So when you have a lot of money that you make, via flips, particularly, then how do you leverage, on taxes? How do you balance things,
The rentals are the best thing for taxes, essentially. So taxes for me are not much of a concern. Yeah, Brenton does a lot more flips than I and has a lot more short-term capital gains. So I think that might be a better question for him because I'm not really doing any flips. So I'm getting depreciation. I'm getting as many write-offs as I need with all the rental units.
Right.
When you're earning active income, taxes becomes your largest expense item. And therefore, like we work so hard to vet people on our team, whether it's contractors, lenders, yet I think it's so easy just to stick with the same CPA you had maybe when you're at a different point in your career. And what I want to really echo is that hire that you make for your CPA or your strategic advisor for taxes, it could end up being one of the best hires you make. And I think in a way, like I'm listening to myself speak right now, like we could all probably use that like reminder. I think that's a good position to top grade. As for like a tactical point, it definitely obviously sucks having to pay taxes. But then when you're paying taxes, it's also like an indication you're making money and you now own that money rather than having to find other shelters to park that money. And I think there's something to be said about it, the importance of paying some taxes and owning that money free and clear. And there's always strategies like I cost segregate when it makes sense as a tax strategy to really maximize what the depreciation on the rental and take it in a current year basis. And then there's other strategic things you can do, like you can do a self-directed, IRA and flip houses in that. But the challenges of doing those retirement plays is that you don't have access to that money. So I think there's actually some benefit psychologically to paying your taxes. You become leverageable with a bank, and then you also have access to your money. It's not stuck in a retirement account.
Aaron, you want to say something about taxes? I would like to. I know you. Okay.
You don't like it? Don't like it.
I think just from a simple, I don't know how they work, but I do trust my accountant. I have to because
Who do you use?
And so
we don't like to go there,
right. So, but I do trust the accounts, and like I said, I have to. I don't know much about it, but I do know this. Like when I started buying rental properties, things got like a lot better in that department. That depreciation and cost segregation and interest write-offs and all that stuff. That is probably the less. Nobody talks about that enough, but I think we talk about the cash flow and the equity and all that, and that's. I guess, like Matt said, that'll make you rich, I guess. But if you're doing something else for a living that's profitable, you got to buy rental properties. I don't even know how it all works, but it lowers your taxable income significantly. I know that. Or if nothing else, it kicks a can down the road.
That's why I said he should come closer to the stage. So I want to give him just 1 minute. What has real estate done to your taxes? So he's an IT professional, and IT people, they make a lot of money, but real estate changed something. So that's why I bring up taxes. So just tell us something, for new guys, so that you understand some things about taxes. What changes do you see in your taxes
Yeah, well, for me, for like probably 5, 6, 7 years, I always pay back.
Return.
I have to refund back to the federal government and state government. And until probably about 3 years ago when I started real estate, and I don't flip, I hold. So I buy, repair, do all the BR whatever stuff, and put a tenant in there, and I just hold it. Just want to just build equity over time. And what it does for me is all those deductions that I have to do, depreciation that I have to take place, it kind of suck a lot of things. Because usually what happens is, as an investor, the first thing that goes out is expenses. Anything expenses. Whatever is left is what government is going to tax. So even if I make $500,000 in a year and I still do invest, rather I do one or two properties in a year, I have opportunity to be able to do some deductions at the end of the year. And when you move from being an employee to an investor, you don't use the general tax preparer like HR guys or those guys that will collect. So for me, the guy that does my taxes collect over $1,000 because he's not just a regular tax preparer. So the advantage is being able to move from one side of the quadrant to the other side, and you get to do a lot of things that all these good guys have been talking about. Then for taxes, it helps you to do a lot of deductions, depreciation. Then the game is very good in the sense that you have 1, 2, 3 properties that you have tenants in there, and it helps you, to grow whatever, you have.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So anybody would not like to answer, to actually answer a question on taxes, but anybody have something on taxes? We are not CPA. Disclaimer. So so we don't like to do that most of the time. So because you just need to get a good CPA or a good tax guy. So if you are doing, who do you use, Matthew?
I use Katz and Cohen.
Okay. What about you, Brenton? Secret?
A woman named Gina Crosby in Ohio. I don't know.
Oh, you're in Ohio?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, she's super familiar with Maryland. But I'd be happy to make an introduction. Proceed at your own risk.
Okay. Right now, so where are the deals? Where are you getting your deals? People are looking for deals. Where are the deals? Where are you getting the deal? Because I know a lot of people are saying, where are the deals? We can't get the deal that the number makes sense. All these things on MLS, people just, build them up and stuff like that. How do you get your deals?
Like I mentioned, my deal flow comes from realtors, wholesalers, and direct mail. With realtors, I do a program. You can too, and I pay them I'm not a realtor, so I can pay them $5,000 a finder's fee if they bring me a property, or give them the listing on the back end after I flip it, and that's been really great.
Okay. What about you, Aaron? How do you get your deals? MLS?
MLS, yeah. No, I turn over a lot of rocks, to find stuff. I mean, it's more competitive. As long as I've been doing this, is the most competitive it's ever been. And I buy from wholesalers, the MLS. I pressure my customers to send me a deal every now and then. Tell them I'm not going to keep rehabbing for them unless they send me one. I mean, and I'm not joking either. And we do direct mail. I just started that. I hate it.
How's that working? How's that?
Well, it's been good, really good. So it's been better than waiting around for the wholesalers to send me deals. So I was just talking to the Pinpoint Skip guy back there. Yeah, Faisal, and I've been buying data off one of those, batch or prop stream and sending out thousands of dollars worth of mail. And people call in, you go meet with them and try to buy. So we've been doing a lot of that. And I've door knocked, I've everything and anything. My suggestion is just to not try to limit one method, just anything and everything you can think of. And I make a massive amount of offers, like a lot. So
how many offers do you make, like in a week or in a month?
I have like an acquisition guy that makes at least over 20 offers a week, probably.
And how many of those offers, come true or something?
I'm probably, I've been buying a few a month, so probably like
a few, 2, 3, 4, 6,
like 3
10?
or 4 a month, something like that. So like it seemed, yeah. I mean, last year I had a really good year. I bought 70 buildings, but this year I've scaled back a little bit on the rentals and been doing more flips. So I mean, I'm on pace maybe to buy like 40. So maybe a little over 3 a month.
Gotcha. I will come back to you. I have a question for you. How do your deals? Where do you get your deals right now?
Essentially what Brendan and Aaron said. I mean, we're doing direct-to-seller marketing. We're typically assigning a lot of those deals that come in. But, you hear it, and it's kind of like, yeah, I've heard it a million times over. But, again, like Brendan said, where is he getting his deals from? He's getting them from relationships that he's building with agents. I'm probably being very repetitive at this point with some of the stuff that I've already said, but real estate is it's all about relationships. I'm getting deals from wholesalers that if they're making a good spread on the deal, they're coming to me and saying, hey, I'm making good money. Here's my number. Can you get there? Okay, cool. I'll send you the contract. A lot of people I'm sure are like, yeah, relationships. And I was for a while too. It's like, yeah, okay, cool, sounds great. I get it, relationships, I know, I've heard it a million times. But, it takes time. You gotta plant seeds, you gotta harvest the seeds. You gotta, you're not just gonna build these relationships with these wholesalers and these agents and a week or two later or a month or two later, they're gonna say, hey, I've got this smoking hot deal for you. But a year or two later, after this stuff really starts coming back to you, there's just a lot to be said for that. And I can't stress that enough because sometimes when I'm not really even looking to buy a property, I might have a few wholesalers come to me and say, hey, I got this deal. Okay, cool. All right, looks good. I'll take it. But again, in terms of true deal source, to answer the question, direct seller marketing, still making offers on MLS stuff, wholesalers, agents, just anywhere that there's deals to be made offers on, I'm there.
Gotcha. Thank you. Then the question for you. So how are you going to advise a new guy that is trying to start a contracting company? What are the steps? How can someone get to be a contractor? Not to get a license now, but to get the job done. What is the steps for people?
I mean, for me, all I think I could tell you is what I did. I started with just myself, and then I hired one person, and then I hired another person. I pretty much have been hiring one at a time, for a long time. And it's been, I at one point I got up to maybe 100 employees or something like that, and then I got crazy one day and fired like 30 of them or something like that. Then started back and I did one again. I'm up to around 200 right now, and I'm probably not. It's maybe I have to do something, or I don't want 210 for the first time in my. So I've heard Matt say this. I've heard Brendan says I've never really had any major goals. I kind of just started out because I liked it, and kind of similar to real estate investing. It wasn't really like let me make 100,000 or let me pay off my student loan debt or let me have all these crazy goals. I just kind of one at a time, and maybe I reflected looking back. So I remember when I had 7 or 8 guys and sitting there on Wednesday stressing out about payroll, and my payroll was $5,000 a week, and I didn't know how I was going to come up with it. and now it's, 200,000 a week, and it's beyond stress. It's just, it is what it is. So it's I think just one at a time, and maybe take on as many as you can handle, and I don't know what else, or one sub at a time. And, anytime, if you get somebody that's good, I believe also that we all, like, I'm only as good as the people that work for me and my subs. I mean, I'm worthless without them. So you find somebody that's good and you get along with them and you can make money on them. Treat them like you treat your banker or your lender or your real estate agent or anybody else. And I don't know. I feel like those guys that are swinging hammers and picking up trash don't get enough pleasant treatment or something. I don't know. So I try to make sure that the good ones are very well taken care of, and I treat them better than my customers. I treat them better than the lenders. I treat them better than the wholesalers, and those guys that swing a hammer good, man, they're rare, and I try to keep them real happy.
Thank you. So, Brenton, I will start with you. I want to ask this last question. So, how do you balance? I know we're very busy, as a real estate investor, you go here and there. How do you balance family? I know you have kids. And how do you balance?
I'm a young father, new to the game. I have 2 kids under 2 and a third on the way, so we'll have 3 under 3. So I'm still figuring it out. I can tell you, it sure as heck helps having a great support system. My wife, she handles so much, and then because of like Aaron and others, like I can be flexible with my time, and we have food on the table. So it certainly helps having some money to be able to buy your time back. There's no question, but it comes down to making sure that that we have leverage when we need it, and sometimes it just comes down to people and family. Family helps a ton.
Aaron, how do you balance? I know you're very busy. Last year, Max said, if someone call you, probably you're gonna call back after 30 calls or something like that. You don't even get to your phones at times.
I mean, like Brennan said, it's just a super supportive wife. She's in business with me. She owns a brokerage and got licensed a handful of years ago. So we work together, but we don't do the same stuff. So, and she's super supportive, and I believe I'm super supportive of whatever she's doing. So, and that's key. I mean, I couldn't imagine, not being aligned and trying to manage or balance your home life with your work life. So it's really, she should get the credit for anything like that.
Good. Thank you. Matthew, balance, family.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, just stating the obvious, your partner has to be on board on some level. There's a lot of hours you have to put in up front. I mean, I think one thing is that try and kind of block out at least some time where you can be totally present. Even if it's a half hour, an hour, a couple hours a night. And, at least that's how my relationship with my wife works. She's like, look, give me a couple solid hours of your time. I understand that your business and what you have going on is going to take up the vast majority of your time. But, at least give me some non-interrupted time. So that's kind of, I guess, what my advice would be is you kind of have your on time, and you've got to set aside some time for some off time, where it's kind of your do not disturb time. Because and I struggle with it even to this day. I mean, I'm checking my phone at 9 o'clock at night. My wife's passing out next to me. Like, turn the lights off, and I'm like making offers on houses. So it is a struggle for me, admittedly, but what I would say is, again, really make your wife and your family the center of the attention for at least a block of the day, and don't be trying to do business and family at the same time 24/7, because you're chasing 2 rabbits you're not going to catch either.
Good. Thank you. Any general question? Okay. General question? So we're just taking question, then we're done.
All right. The question I'm going to ask, I think Matthew knows about this already. A majority of us here actually investors in probably the same markets, Baltimore, either Baltimore City or Baltimore County. My question is, I mean, going back to what you asked earlier on, how do you get your deals? Where is it coming from? I heard, or maybe I know, or I've known that in Baltimore City or Baltimore County, I know we discussed about this before, close to 15,000 houses boarded up in Baltimore, either Baltimore City or Baltimore County.
City.
So as investors, do we have a pull? Do we have a push? Because basically right now, we're all going back to the same pool. There are aspiring investors that are actually out here, want to come invest. You know, we're just running around, you know, trying to get this wholesale, that sale, blah, blah. But when you have 15,000 houses boarded up in Baltimore, that's potential money. So as investors, do we have a push, a pull to force the government to at least help us out?
Matthew, you understand?
Trying to forward, I mean, I don't want to get too political here, I guess, but trying to get folks in the
City
political realm to get motivated to do things, even if it's good for the community, I don't know about that. I will say, which makes a little sense in a bad way, is that the city is actually kind of hoarding or holding on to those vacants, because actually on their balance sheet, they're treated as assets, believe it or not. They're basically real estate holdings. So if they have 15,000 vacants, even if they're getting a valuation of $25,000 a roof, or whatever, whatever you want to call that, or a unit, that's actually literally showing up as an asset, and it's basically helping their bond rating. So, I think, not to be kind of sarcastic, but I think it's a pipe dream to think that unless there's a massive shift in the political culture in Baltimore City, I don't see much changing in terms of the many thousands of vacants in the city.
Aaron, you have something about that? Yeah, this is Mike. Okay, give it.
Yeah, I don't know much about that. I think there's a good opportunity though I think it's a great spot to even start though. I think it's going to come down to investors buying those things, buying those properties, and I personally don't have an interest in it really, and but I don't knock it. I think they're great. They're affordable, and they're also a great spot to like learn how to do this. And I've always like kind of made the joke: if you can like renovate a property in Baltimore City and come out of it without getting divorced and bankrupt, you can do it anywhere. And so I started doing that early on in my career, and it was a complete disaster. But I didn't know it at the time. But it was the learning experience of a lifetime, and it made rehabbing a house in Glen Burnie literally I could do it with my eyes closed because of those Baltimore City rehabs. So I really don't discourage people from doing it.
The challenge becomes when you take $100,000 to renovate it, and it's only worth 40.
40, yep.
But that's why they're big.
No comms. Good. Any other question? Oh, going to the back. Okay, right.
I don't know your name.
Just go
The
ahead.
young man in blue. There is something you said that concerns me a lot. You said don't trust your contractor. You said that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I've been in business since 2005, real estate, and a lot of times people ask me to introduce them. I'll sell them a property. They want me to introduce a contractor to them. And most of the time, you introduce the contractor, and the next day you don't see them again after collecting money. How do you pick the right contractor you can trust?
I don't know if I heard a lot. Did you ask how you prevent that?
No, how do you know which contractor to trust that you're not going
You
to
don't trust any of them, and that what I mean by that is you don't pay money for
until they finish.
They've done work.
Yep.
And that's the root of all problems. It's no other business. I mean, I don't know last time you were at Walmart and you bought a TV, but I didn't give them, I always kind of left with the TV and gave them the money at the same time. It was never, let's give them some money and maybe I'll see if they're in business tomorrow. You know, I don't prepay for anything. And I think that's a big, big problem is that, and I don't really care about why it is you need to be prepaid. You know, So I pay when the work is done.
Thank you. Matthew,
That's even with your best friends and family. Nobody gets paid until the work's done.
You want to say everything? Who do you use? Who's your contractor? Do you use? You have a crew that you use or something?
I mean, again, I feel like we're all just kind of repeating what everybody said, but I don't want to get off too much of a tangent with contractors, but I think that investors approach that relationship the wrong way. You know, they think, oh, they show up, they want to like be this master negotiator and, you know, pay the contractor basically as little as they can. Then they want to lean on the contractor to do all the work. You know, I mean, trust and verify, trust and verify, trust and verify. That's kind of part of what Aaron is saying. You know, so showing up, oh, well, the contractor said it'll be $20,000. Well, let's see if we can get up to 18. You know, and then hope that in 3 weeks or a month, whatever the timeline is, your deal is your property just going to be magically renovated, and you know you're going to show up and just see this nice, neat product house. You know, so I think that's where a lot of people fail is they're just kind of not approaching it the correct way.
Gotcha. Thank you. Question right there, please.
Yes. Gentlemen, it's regarding this investment in Baltimore City. It's a bit disheartening to hear that it's like an uphill battle. Now, can I ask each of you, so do none of you invest in Baltimore City at the moment? Like buying properties?
I mean, I certainly do. I probably 130 or so-ish of my properties are in Baltimore City.
Okay, because the concern is then, like this gentleman here was asking about, how do people get into these deals? I mean, I moved to Baltimore City because I'm trying to sort of give back. And in giving back, I'm wanting to get in the business of renovating houses and possibly then selling them on as shared ownership so that people who otherwise couldn't afford it can get involved. But I'm running into a brick wall regarding what you said about the valuation. If you spend $100,000 rehabbing it and it's only worth 40. In my particular situation, it's $240,000 to rehab, and that's what I've been quoted. Again, I was going to ask you gentlemen in the middle, where one could perhaps try and get a better rehab cost, even though that seems to be what all the other neighbors have spent rehabbing. So if you can't, if the banks think the rehab cost is too high, because they can't get the ARV in the area because no houses have been renovated so much on that particular block, what do? Is that why you said you now purchase more in Glen Burnie? And it's just a tough sell trying to get a property off the ground rehabbed in Baltimore City. How does one do this? I mean, we are in Baltimore City after all.
I mean, unfortunately, like a 2x4 costs the same in Glen Burnie as it does in Baltimore City. You know, so it's the rehab or the material and the labor costs are probably the same. It's just the end value, and unfortunately, you know, I don't think it takes anybody who reads the newspaper every day. You know, if you're going to, if the crime rate's pretty high, right? So if you know if it's dangerous outside your house, just because it's a nice rehab, is it going to make the house worth $200,000 when you can go and spend $200,000 in a place where it's not so dangerous? So even though the rehab is exactly the same. I mean, I remember at one point I had some Baltimore City properties and the refrigerator is worth more than the house. You know, so it's a unfortunately politics or whatever, but ask yourself the question, would you live there? You know, would you pay $200,000 to live in an area where you can't push your kid around the shoulder, right? So, I mean, I wouldn't, which drives the price down, the demand for that.
So are there any partners that you guys typically work with that are Baltimore City enthusiasts, you know, that want to do deals regardless, because it does take a bit of gumption, a bit, you know, really a lot of metal to want to invest in the city? Like, who could we approach? Are you aware of, be it lenders or be it rehab guys that work, that you could recommend for Baltimore City?
Let me comment on that. So for Baltimore City, I actually went to a program like 2 weeks ago with small developers, and the council councilman and the women, they came over there and they're actually working on some things, but it's a tough task. So I was there, you know, it's a very tough task because the problem is that they're going to be dealing with some legal issue. Because we're doing, there's a property I'm doing that working on, but it's like going nowhere now. They owe taxes of $51,000. The property has went on tax sale 3 times, water bill. So, and the property does not worth anything. So that's another problem. But I believe the council, you know, the city people, they are working on it. So, you know, probably next event, we're going to bring one of the councilmen and women over here, you know, next year. So, but they are working on it. So I have their contact, but it's a long walk. so because she told us that they are getting like legal teams and stuff. So don't, like Erin said, you just have to look elsewhere. So that's what I'm going to say on that.
That's unfortunate. Thank you.
Okay, good. Yeah, we're actually particular about boarded up, you know, boards up. So that was his question. So
Because some of those places boarded up, if you go there and renovate one of them, you'll be lucky the next day to see whatever you put. For instance, there is a property somebody renovated. I don't know where people go spring and park cars. This guy spent more than $50,000 to renovate. He bought the property about $20,000. Overnight, they came there and picked out everything he put in that house. So that's the dilemma, putting your money where you are not sure of, you know. I'll talk to you after.
that was why, you know, in Matthew presentation, location. So very, very important. Any other question? General question now, then. Yeah, good. Question? Ready? Any last word from you?
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Nice surprise.
Matthew.
Again, same thing. Keep building the relationships. Real estate is not crypto. Okay. Maybe it is crypto because a lot of people have lost some money. Not that everybody loses money in real estate, but you know, real estate it's a journey. You've got, I mean, I'm throwing all these cliches out, but you've got to kind of love the process, or at least get on board with the process. You've got to be good at overcoming adversity, and you know, you work yourself kind of up the mountain, and eventually you get on the backside and you start kind of walking downhill a little bit. But don't give up. Just keep plugging away. And thanks again for having me.
Thank you so much, everyone. So you can connect with people, wholesaler, our vendors. They're still over there. Meet them. Talk to. Yeah, you want to say something?
Title, raffle.
Grand title. They want to do
Thank
raffle,
you.
so we can go
Hello?
over there so you can win something. Thank you so much. We're gonna do this again next year. It's only once in a year. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks
Thanks
again,
for coming.
man.
Thank you so much.
What'd you say?